So, when you think of Kobe Bryant, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's the championships, right? The buzzer beaters, the sheer dominance. But the real story, the thing that truly defined his legacy, it isn't about the trophies. It's about the mindset, this relentless philosophy that earned them. Today, we're going to break down that exact philosophy, the Mamba Mentality.
Let me start with a question for you. Is winning everything? It seems like a simple question, right? But for Kobe, the answer is way more complex than you'd think. See, for him, winning wasn't really the destination. It was almost just a side effect, a natural result of something he was chasing way more intensely. So if it wasn't the win, what on earth was he after?
To really get it, we have to go to one of his absolute darkest moments on the court. It's April 2013. The Lakers are in a desperate fight for a playoff spot. Kobe drives to the basket, a move he's made a million times. But this time, he just collapses. He's torn his Achilles tendon. I mean, that's one of the most devastating injuries in all of sports. For anyone else, their season, maybe even their career, is toast.
But what he does next, this is what defines the man. Instead of getting carried off on a stretcher, Kobe, through gritted teeth, gets up. He insists on taking his free throws. The entire arena is dead silent. His career is hanging by a thread, and he just calmly sinks both shots. 2 perfect free throws on a leg that couldn't even support his own weight.
And that right there, that single moment tells you everything you need to know. It wasn't about the 2 points. It was about honoring the thousands, and I mean thousands, of hours he'd spent in an empty gym practicing that exact shot. He limped off the court, refusing help, because in his mind, his job was done. He had honored the work. That's the key. That unlocks his entire mindset.
So where does a mindset like that even come from? He wasn't born with it. It was forged in the fire of a very public and very humiliating failure. To really understand the Mamba mentality, we've got to go back to the moment that changed absolutely everything.
Okay, picture this. It's the 1997 playoffs. A 17-year-old Kobe Bryant is on the biggest stage of his young life. The Lakers are in a dogfight with the Utah Jazz, and the game is on the line. The team's superstar, Shaq, has just fouled out, so the ball and the entire season is in the hands of a teenager.
4. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many shots Kobe took in those final critical minutes. And it's also the number of air balls he shot, one after the other. They didn't even hit the rim. The Lakers were eliminated, and all the blame landed squarely on his shoulders.
Oh, and the backlash? It was immediate, and it was brutal. The media, the critics, they called him arrogant, reckless, immature. He had the guts to take the shots, but he just didn't have the strength or the experience to make them when it counted. For any other kid, a failure that big could have ended their confidence for good.
But here's the thing about Kobe. He didn't see it as a verdict on his talent. He saw data, pure information. He realized his legs just weren't strong enough yet to handle the grind of a long NBA season plus the playoffs. So for him, that failure wasn't an ending. It was the beginning. It was the catalyst that forced him to build a system, a whole philosophy, to make sure that would never, ever happen again. And this is what was born from that failure. He later called it the Mamba Mentality, inspired by the black mamba snake's ability to strike with this incredible, deadly efficiency. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's profound. You fall in love with the work. You embrace the climb so completely that winning just becomes the inevitable result of what you do every single day. Okay, so how did he actually do it? I mean, this wasn't just some vague idea of working hard. No, Kobe built his entire life around a system. A system we can actually break down into 3 ruthless rules. This is his blueprint for turning ambition into reality. Rule number 1, and this is the bedrock of the whole thing. He believed the easiest way to get a massive advantage was to simply schedule more high-quality work than anyone else was willing to do. He literally weaponized his calendar.
I mean, just look at the sheer volume here. This was his off-season. When everyone else was on vacation, he was on the 666 program. Let's break that down. 2 hours of track work for speed, 2 hours of basketball skills, and 2 hours of weightlifting. That's 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, for 6 months straight. This wasn't just working hard. It was a systematic, compounding advantage he was building while his competition was resting.
And you can see how this advantage just snowballs, right? During the season, he was famous for waking up at 4 a.m. By the time his teammates were just arriving for the official team practice, Kobe had already finished a full workout, and often a weightlifting session too. He knew that those extra hours, day after day, year after year, would add up to thousands of extra reps. It's what made his performance look almost effortless.
But look, all that work means nothing if you're practicing the wrong stuff. Which brings us to rule number 2, an obsession with the basics. While other players were chasing flashy, new moves, Kobe understood that real, true mastery is built on a flawless foundation.
There's this amazing story about a performance coach who showed up at 3:30 in the morning to watch Kobe train. He thought for sure he'd be the first one there. But nope, he finds Kobe already drenched in sweat, practicing the most basic high school drills you can imagine. Footwork, pivots, jab steps. Kobe told him, under extreme pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. He drilled the basics, so his default was perfection.
And this obsession with learning, it went way beyond basketball. He was just a relentless student of, well, everything. As a rookie, he studied film with coaches. Later, as an all-star, he tracked down Hakeem Olajuwon to learn post moves. And his curiosity was endless. He talked to soccer legends like Ronaldinho about creativity, Navy SEALs about mental toughness, even Olympic sprinters about explosiveness. He was constantly hunting for an edge.
All right, this brings us to rule number 3. And honestly, this might be the most powerful one of all. His relationship with failure. For most of us, failure is something we try to avoid at all costs. For Kobe, it was something to be embraced. It was fuel.
I mean, stop and think about that. His most humiliating public failure, those 4 air balls against Utah, he described it as a gift. And why? Because it gave him a clear, undeniable data point on his weakness. It showed him exactly what he needed to work on to become the player he knew he could be.
So what did he do? Did he go home and feel sorry for himself? Nope. The moment the team plane landed back in LA, he drove straight to a local high school gym and just started shooting jumpers all night long. He shot until the sun came up, just burning that failure into muscle memory so it would never, ever happen again. That is turning failure into fuel.
Okay, so let's bring this back to us. Because look, most of us aren't going to do the 666 program, right? But the principles behind it, they're universal. This isn't just a guide for becoming an NBA superstar. It's a practical set of tools that any of us can use to go after our own goals.
First things first, you have to completely reframe what failure means. Stop seeing it as a judgment on who you are. Start seeing it for what it really is, pure data. It's just information telling you where you need to get better. So analyze it, learn from it, and use it as motivation.
Second, you've got to weaponize your schedule. You don't have to wake up at 4 a.m., but can you find one focused hour every single morning for your most important goal? That consistency, day after day, will compound into a massive advantage over people who only work when they feel like it.
And finally, number 3, learn to love the boring stuff. Whatever it is you do, coding, writing, music, sales, figure out what the absolute fundamentals are. Then, practice them over and over and over again until they are completely automatic. That is the real path to mastery.
So in the end, when you look back, Kobe's legacy, it's not really about the rings or the points he scored. It's about the standard he set. It's about the blueprint he left behind for anyone in any field who's chasing excellence.
And that's really the big takeaway here, isn't it? The Mamba Mentality teaches us that greatness isn't some magical gift that's handed out to a lucky few. It is a conscious choice. It's the choice to get up early, to do the boring drills, to face your failures head on, and then to do it all over again the next day. You know, he summed it up perfectly himself. Talent is a great place to start, sure, but it's the disciplined, relentless application of hard work that creates legends. That was the core belief that drove him every single day.
And so, that leaves us with a question for you. Kobe built his legacy by demanding more from himself than anyone else could ever expect. The Mamba Mentality is really a challenge. It's asking us to look at our own goals, our own process, and decide, what are we truly willing to do to get there? What will you demand of yourself?